All right, everybody, don't steal my bounce. This is a little preview of who the guest is for today's conversation in our Women Leaders Moving Forward series. So if you know what that means, you may know who is coming up. And if you don't, you're about to find out. And our guest right on. This is the bizarre part of the conversation where here we go. There, we making things happen. Excellent.
Hi.
Hey, good morning, Sarah. Thanks for joining
Good
me.
morning. Thank you. I'm at home, so I don't have my proper tripod. So you're balanced on a series of so if everything collapses, just that's why.
Hey, it's real life. We show up
This
as
is
real
yeah,
things. This is not the part of the internet where everything has to be perfect.
exactly.
So you're in the right place.
Amazing.
So
Good
thanks so much.
morning, Adina.
Good morning. We're going to do some proper introductions before we get started. I am Adina O'Neill. I am the founder and head coach at Team Be Real, where we build belief, belonging, and confidence in all athletes. And this conversation today is with the amazing Sara Gross. And I am going to let Sara introduce herself.
Amazing. Thanks, Adina. I'm Sara Gross. I am the founder and CEO of Feisty Media. I was once a professional triathlete. I won some things, which was fun and amazing. I also have a PhD in women's history and still kind of dabble in learning about history, especially in relation to women's sports. But right now, main job, running the ship over at Feisty Media.
Well, and we love Feisty Media, and I was showing off my shirt before. I'm going to stand up again. Don't steal your bounce. This was from the Outspoken Summit back in, I think it says 2022. We get the reminder right on
It
there,
was
but still holding strong.
It was Vic Brumfield, the CEO of USA Triathlon, who, said, "Don't steal another woman's bounce." And I
That's
think we all
right.
kind of related to that,
That
So
we
yeah, we
latched
made the
on.
shirts. Yeah,
We latched on. It was a great moment and still applies. So
still
I'm glad
applies.
that I still have the shirt. Um, so today we're going to talk about women's history, and I'm going to admit I did not know that you had a PhD in history. So that this is well, I bet I'm going to learn something exciting, which I always do. But the reason I pulled all these conversations together is I was really moved by the theme of the month, which is moving forward together, women educating and inspiring generations. What does that mean to you when you hear it?
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. It's a really big question. Sorry, can I just say, Adina, I'm so glad we're doing this. I had almost forgotten that it was Women's History Month right now,
Oh,
because it's like the end of February. So or sorry, the end of March. So I'm so glad that we're still talking about this.
and
Um,
and to be fair, you and I talk about the importance of women year round. So
right.
it's not one month of the year, but and I usually don't make a big stink about it because it is kind of something that is important to us all the time. But the theme just it really struck me, and so I'm
Right.
having a lot of fun hearing what other people think about it too.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think inspiring generations is such an interesting phrase, right? I think a lot of the people that I admire and respect the most think of their lives in terms of how we are leaving things better for the next generation in one way or another, or how some of the pains and things that we experienced can be better for our kids and our kids' kids. So in my case, that's a lot of I was the child that observed the world and saw that I was going to be somewhat limited because I was a girl, right? I did not see a lot of leadership with women. I did not see women's pro sports teams on TV, and I really wanted to be a pro athlete. I definitely saw that there were some areas, there's so many things that women can do in our culture. Even in the 80s when I was growing up, yes, we have tons of opportunities compared to many other parts of the world. But also I observed that, if I was going to be the Prime Minister of Canada, I was going to be the first one. you know, Little things like that kind of really affected me. Right. So I think for me, it's just all been about creating those spaces and being the thing that you want your daughters or our daughters to see and believe is possible in the world. So that's kind of what it means to me. Hmm.
I love that. And it is, you're a pioneer, I'm a pioneer, because if we're thinking about doing something and we're going to be that first woman,
Hmm.
where do you get that inspiration from?
Right.
And we have to create it for ourselves sometimes so that way we can pass it down. But or maybe we take inspiration from other places and other people. So
Hmm.
who is an inspiring woman in your life?
Well, I do know this is something that this might be a disappointing answer for some people, but
There's
I
no
think
wrong answer. There's
I
no
find
wrong
it,
answer.
yeah, I find that I admire people more who I know very, very well, right?
Right?
So how is someone, when I see a characteristic in someone that I admire, like how does that work in the entire ecosystem of their life? And how can I emulate what they're doing? So for me, a lot of the characteristics that I love in people are like people who can bring joy, genuine joy and kindness to their interactions with other people, figuring out where that comes from for them in an authentic way,
Hmm.
and trying to emulate that. Um, People who have good judgment, who see the good in others. This is a big one for me, like finding and seeing the good in others and how you can bring that out or encourage that in other people. So I do observe people in that light, like
Hmm.
and I try to be very intentional about that, like whether those people are men or women or non-binary folks in my world, right? So like, what do I see in them, and what are their best characteristics, and how can I emulate that?
That's an amazing
Does that make
answer.
sense?
That is an amazing answer. And I think one of the things that I like the most about that, as you said, is people you know.
Yeah.
And Team Be Real is all about everyday athletes and people we know. And I know you, so I think that when I think of you as an Ironman champion, like that's really cool, but it means more to me because I know you personally. I've had
Hmm.
conversations with you, and I know you as a person more than just, crossing the Ironman, which I was absolutely amazing and inspiring. But it means so much more to me since I've met you in person and have had conversations with you.
Exactly. I find that to be true of so many things and so many people. It's hard for me to see someone at arm's length accomplishing something. I can say, great, that's a wonderful accomplishment, and that I can see the effect that that's having on other people around them that makes folks feel like, oh, I could accomplish that too, like a see it, be it thing. But really, like how they created the belief system to be able to make shit happen in their world, and that's like I really like to understand that. So you need to know someone a little bit deeper to understand that.
100%,
Hmm.
100%.
Hmm.
Um, so, I mean, I obviously shared questions in advance, and this question has
Hmm.
kind of evolved as I've spoken with different women,
Hmm.
talking about how being a woman uniquely positions us to make an impact on whoever we're serving in our life. It might be those people we know personally, or maybe a larger net that we're casting. Um, do you think being a woman does position you in a more unique position to do that? And if so, how so? Or if not, why not?
Yeah, that's it. It's an interesting question, and I think the first thing that comes to mind is like there's as many ways to be a woman as there are women, in the world. So sometimes it's hard to like parse apart like what aspect of womanhood we're talking about, or is it like a femininity that could be applied to both genders or to all genders, So like I had, I'll tell you a story. A couple years ago, I had, for me, I wouldn't call it like a crisis of confidence, but like I had a moment where I started to think that maybe I needed to take on a more male style of leadership as my business was growing. So I thought, should I be tougher? I was getting feedback that sometimes people felt like I wasn't being direct enough or wasn't telling the whole truth. I'm like, I feel like I'm telling my whole truth. Like what are you wanting? Right. And so I decided to I was like, how could I become convinced that my natural leadership style is good? Like I wanted someone to come and convince me. So I took this leadership course from Yale, where I was like, okay, I have like this little stamp that says Yale. But like Actually, it was very interesting because a lot of the research pans out that like women have a lot of natural leadership qualities that are kind of missing, like the things that we think of, like leading with empathy, and that I learned through the process and working with other people in that course that some of my natural instincts, like my natural instinct is to like I said earlier, to see the best in someone and try to like develop that thing rather than like seeing where they're lacking and try to turn them into the thing that like
Mm,
I want them to be or the business needs them to be, like I'd rather help folks flourish in the place where they're already flourishing or where they're already, providing value. So it turns out this was such an interesting study. It turns out that there are studies that show that like even that when you're giving people feedback, for example, in performance reviews, even that way that we learned, I don't know, I absorbed from somewhere of like the sandwich of
yeah,
like say something good, then say like you're critical, whatever, and then say something good. Like that actually the people who performed better after their performance review were the ones that you told them five good things about how they were performing. Like where there was
yeah,
literally not like because if you said even four good things and one piece of critical criticism, they would focus on that criticism so hard,
sure.
And for some people that did work. Like there was a small demographic, like a 20% ish, my memory's not great, so something like that for whom that worked, but that actually like positive feedback provided more positive results for most
Yeah,
people. So there were like little things like that in this course that I took that really helped me go, oh no, you know what? Like my natural instincts are good and I'm going to lead the way that I want to lead. And we probably need more just different types or diverse leaders in our world, just in general. Does that
yeah.
make sense?
That does make sense. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it again because there were a lot of little pieces that I want to write down, but I want to keep
I
it
talked a
to myself.
lot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, I think this is good. This is why we're here, right? Educating and inspiring generations.
Mhm.
And just that viewpoint of, giving more positive feedback. I mean, I do that when I call, if I'm on a customer service call, I always tell the person at the end if they did a good job. People are very quick to complain, right?
Mhm.
And you need to keep giving people that positive feedback as much as you can. And what you just explained, if you have four positive things and one negative thing, we're going to focus in on that negative.
Perseverate. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So keep giving more positive things. I'm curious. I don't know if it was covered or if you remember. Like, I'm thinking is if you frame it in a part of, oh, here's an area that we're going to grow to, like a next step.
Mhm.
If you reframe it in a positive
Yeah.
way, is that more effective? Because that's kind of more my style. It's like, okay, this is all good, and here's something we can work on if to move the needle
Yeah.
forward.
That's exactly it. Like that's my instinct
Yeah.
when I'm leading my team is like kind of to work with them. Like what are you hoping to grow into and how can this roll together with the needs that Feisty has too? Like how do you think we can work together to grow into that? And so
Yeah.
that's how I approach it with all of my staff members. Yeah.
Because we want to keep growing,
Hmm.
but we want to
Yes.
do it, in a real way. I mean, that's what the real and be real stands for. It's realistic, empowered, attainable lifestyle. So we want to keep moving forward in a way that makes sense and growing. So I think we're saying the same thing with different words. So awesome, very fun. Well, our goal is to keep this. We're very time conscious. Everybody is busy. I don't, and in the sake of sending us off with something that we can hold on to and learn. I mean, I've already learned a lot, but if you had 1 minute to teach us something, what would be your 1 minute lesson that you would share with everybody?
1 minute. This morning when I was writing notes about this, I wrote down two things and then I walked away and got a coffee. Then I came back and wrote down more things. So I'll try to be quick. I think number one is like in with anything that you want to do in life or any change that you want to make, like being consistent is the most important thing. Like showing up, even if you're not showing up as well as you hoped to show up, that is by far consistently showing up day after day, the most important thing. I think also another thing that I've really learned to lean into as someone who's like very, actually, for people who know me now, this might be surprising, but very like logic brained.
Hmm.
Like when I went to university, I was in like advanced physics and mathematics. Like I was very logic brain that like, and I observed that there were people in the world who were listening to their instincts and kind of like short circuiting or shortcutting some of the things that I was taking the long route to decide or to figure out. Right. So using your instincts, I think, is like you can trust your instincts. And I think more of us should trust our instincts.
It's easy to get cut. I have one of those logic brains too, and it's
Mhm.
easy to get caught into that of that overthinking. Like, well, this is the way you're supposed to go. So yeah,
And I think we kind of like we value logic as like we should. We value that, but I think we kind of overvalue that and
yeah,
undervalue those the kind of instincts that are like, no, actually, like this is what I need to do. This is what needs to happen now. And then I think that my lastly, I would say like things only fail when you let them. And I find that to be like super empowering, especially like running a startup where like things go wrong and I feel like I'm saving the company every other week, that
yeah,
like actually like nothing fails unless I let it. And we're like, and that's partially about like reframing what you might have previously seen as a failure.
yeah.
So like you can learn something and you can move forward and you can keep going, or you cannot, but you're in control. And
Yes.
embracing that has really helped me embrace the entire process, both with like athleticism and now in feisty land.
Feisty. So that's the trifecta: consistency, trust your instincts, and you only fail if you let it.
Yeah.
Love it.
So
Awesome.
you said it in way under 1 minute. I did. I took 5 minutes of rambling.
Well, that was
The
the recap. The recap is always short.
recap.
I mean, if
Yeah.
we just said that, people would be like, okay, well, tell me more, right? So we've got the information and the quick recap. So well, Sara, thank you. It is always a blast to hang out with you and be feisty together. I appreciate your time and all you do for women's sports and equality. Tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, if anything exciting is coming up that we should know about.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So this is the account I'm on right now. It's feisty_media on Instagram, and that's our main Instagram account. You can follow there. We're in the process of launching a whole pile of new things. So you can watch for 3 new podcasts this year, a new website in the fall. Right now, we're building a brain health course. We're trying to figure out a good name for it, but really it's like the brain as you age and how we can maximize kind of our brain power um, in for as many years as possible for our. We actually ChatGPT came up with the word brain span. I
Okay,
was like, huh. I
interesting.
kind of like, like health span. We talk about like the number
Yeah,
of healthy
right.
years that we have, like
Yeah.
how many healthy years can we get out of our brain? I think and so that course, sorry, is coming out in May. So
Awesome. Well,
yeah,
I will be watching for that. Again, thanks for spending some time with us. Have a great day. And as I always like to leave everybody, be well, be real, and keep moving forward.
thanks, Adina.